What is up, guys? Sent here, back at it again with another MLB tier list. Actually, this is the first one, but we're just gonna say another. We're here. We're gonna be chilling. We're gonna be ranking some players. And first off, we got ADLEY RUTSCHMAN. I want to put him in elite already. He was that good. And you gotta think, this is catchers. Catchers, they can start up at elite. Because he had an 806 OPS, a 128 OPS plus, 254 batting average, also had 65 walks, 86 strikeouts. And he was amazing defensively. So I'm going to put ADLEY in elite. I don't think there's a problem there. Alejandro Kirk, he made the All-Star game, had a great season. All-Star. Austin Hedges. He's great defensively, but he really is a really bad hitter. So I'm going to throw him an average. Yeah, I'm going to keep him an average because he's such an amazing fielder. Austin Nola. Austin Nola's he's good, but there's definitely other catchers that are better than Austin Nola. But Austin Nola, he's a guy that you can win with. He isn't the best defensively, but he's a pretty solid hitter. Cal Raleigh, personally, I know he didn't make the All-Star game this year, but I feel like Cal Raleigh can be an All-Star next year. His playoffs and his season, when he got called back up the second time, was amazing. That dude started playing amazing. He had 27 home runs in 119 games. That's ridiculous for a catcher. And he's also pretty good defensively, too. So I'm going to throw him an all-star. Christian Vasquez is next up. Christian Vasquez, he started off with Boston this year and went to Houston. The real problem with Christian Vasquez, he was a whole different person in Houston. He had a 585 OPS in Houston instead of a 759 that he had in Boston. He had a good pop time this year. Besides that, his defense. But I'm going to put him in good just because of the past trajectory. He was pretty solid. Alright, next we got Curt Casali. Curt Casali, he's okay. He's got solid defense, but he's nothing special for a catcher. I'll throw him in. Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen is a great catcher. I'm going to throw him in good, though. An amazing season. And Dalton Varsho next. Dalton Varsho had a great year. I think he earned himself a spot in good for his season this year. Yes, we got Elias Diaz. He's pretty much a backup catcher at this point. I mean, he isn't bad, but he doesn't play a ton. No offense to Elias Diaz, but I'm going to put him below average. He's not that great, in my opinion. Next up, Gary Sanchez. His defense isn't great by any means. It's pretty bad, no offense. But I'm going to put him in average just because he's had a past trajectory where he was solid. Although he was not great this year, and the Twins so probably use Ryan Jeffers as their starter next year. Next up, Jacob Stallings. Jacob Stallings, he had a very bad season, and he was not good defensively either. He had a negative .7 WAR. He also didn't play a ton either. Some of the playing time went over to Nick Fortes. Actually hit pretty solid, but they both overall didn't hit great. Jacob Stallings hit for average, but you can't just hit for average in the MLB. But I'm going to put him in average just because he had some solid seasons in Pittsburgh. I don't think he's completely below average yet. There's a lot of average catchers in the MLB. That's just how it's going to be for this list. Next up, we got Joey Bart. This is a guy that has been kind of disappointing for San Francisco. San Francisco's expected a lot out of him, and they really haven't gotten much. That's the real problem here. Joey Bart was a mid-framer this year and also had a pretty mid-pop time. Do we put him in below average? Honestly, I'm going to put him in below average, and I'm going to slide Curt Casali down there too. And I'm thinking about it with Austin Hedges, but Austin Hedges is such a good framer and really was a huge part of Cleveland this year and helped them make the playoffs. Very helpful. Also, he's a terrible hitter, though. No offense. But he isn't a good hitter by any means. But he did amazing defensively. So I think that keeps him there. Next up, we got Jonah Heim. Jonah Heim, one of the most underrated catchers in baseball, in my opinion. Jonah Heim is an amazing defensive fielder, and he is also a solid hitter for a catcher. I'm going to put him in good. Jonah Heim's pretty good, in my opinion. If he had like a playoff run like Cal Raleigh, he could have been up there with Cal Raleigh. And next up, we got Jorge Alfaro. This is a hard one. With Alfaro, I don't know where to put Alfaro, but personally, He had a solid hitting season, but it wasn't anything special. He just got a lot of singles. That was the real problem. And overall, he's not a great defensive catcher. I'm going to put him in below average, although he is a very solid catcher. Jose Trevino. Jose Trevino, the Platinum Glove Award winner. That's going to earn him... I'm going to put him in All-Star for now just because it was past trajectory. He wasn't great before this, but he had an amazing season, and Jose Trevino deserves to be an All-Star catcher. Next up, JT Realmuto. Do we even need to talk? Yeah, JT Realmuto, you're going right into the elite. K-Bear Ruiz is next. K-Bear Ruiz is pretty solid. He's nothing extremely special, but K-Bear Ruiz will get the job done for you at catcher. He is a pretty solid hitting catcher. Although he did get a lot of singles, another problem there. But he can fix that. But overall, I think I'm going to put K-Bear Ruiz in... I'm going to put him in average for now, but I feel like he'll get up to good next year. He's basically the best guy in average right now. 100% the best guy in average right now. This is probably my order for averaged here as of now. And then we got Martin Maldonado. Martin Maldonado. The guy that really can't hit, but he's amazing defensively, so he earns himself a good. Yeah, his defense is amazing. Trust me. Max Stassi. Didn't have a great hitting season. The problem there. Although his defense is pretty solid, which helps him out, but he hits so badly that I'm going to put him in average. Mike Zunino, he got hurt this year. He's been an all-star 2 times, I think, in his career. So I'm going to put him in good, but Mike Zunino, he was injured a lot this year, so yeah, he didn't have as good of a season as people thought he was going to have. Next up, we got Omar Narvaez. Omar Narvaez is a good catcher. He has had an all-star season the year before. But overall, the real problem with him, he was not great this year. He was pretty bad. That's the problem with the catcher's position. Guys that were good this year might not end up being good next year. Like, look at guys like... Not going to put anything on a player or something, but what if Jonah Heim doesn't back his season up with another good season? It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's possible, so I'm going to put him in average. I don't know if that season was totally legit. Roberto Perez, he got injured, so it's hard to rank him. But overall, his whole career, he's been average, but he's been tailing off a little bit. So I'm going to throw him below average. Next up, Ryan Jeffers. Ryan Jeffers, I'm pretty sure he's a solid defender, because he's way better than Gary. It's not that hard to do, but the thing with Jeffers, he was injured a lot this year. So it's hard to figure out where we place Jeffers. Jeffers, I'm going to probably throw in average as of now. But he can get up higher in the future. Next up, Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez, one of the best catchers of all time. Maybe top 10 all time. I think that's a fair conversation to have. I'm not saying he is, but he's borderline. But the thing with Salvador Perez, he's pretty damn good. He still hit home runs this year, even though he backed up his amazing season with not the best. But he's overall still an all-star catcher. We gotta give Salvador Perez some respect. Salvador Perez, one of the best catchers on our game in the history of the game. Next up, we got Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy, this guy is great. Sean Murphy, I'm saying it, he's gonna be an all-star next year. Because he's probably gonna be on a better team than Oakland. It's hard to make the all-star game on Oakland. Because they give it to Paul Blackburn this year, because Sean Murphy was off to a bad start. Real problem there, but he's an amazing defender, so I'm going to throw an all-star. Next up, we got Tomas Nido. Tomas Nido. Where do we put Tomas Nido? He was an okay hitter this year. He was barely over the Baez line. But Mets fans like him. He's a solid defender. I'm going to throw him an average. Travis d'Arnaud. This is a hard placement. Where do we put d'Arnaud? This is a question that we need to ask around this channel. Travis d'Arnaud is a solid player all the time. He also had a pretty damn good season this year, so I'm going to throw him in All-Star. He's overall an All-Star. Also, I don't see William Contreras and Brian Serven on this list. Brian Serven would probably go average, and William Contreras would probably go in good. I know William Contreras was an All-Star, but still, I think he fits in the good tier for now, but I think he can get up to All-Star. So I'm feeling like we're filling this All-Star tier up a little bit. No offense to Cal Raleigh, but I'm going to slide you down. Cal Raleigh, you're overall a great player, but I feel like I'm going to slide you down for now, but you'll get there in the future. I'll guarantee that. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be saying that. That better not be on All Takes Exposed. Next up, we got Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart, overall a pretty great defensive catcher. He's won some gold gloves in his career, but real problem is, he really can't. I'm going to throw him an average just because of his great defensive ability. Next, we got Tyler Stevenson. Tyler Stevenson. He's a great catcher, but the real problem with him, he hasn't been able to put it together for a full season. I'm going to throw him in good for now, but I feel like he can get up to All-Star. Also, I'm just noticing, but the catcher's position is honestly stacked right now. Next up, we got Will Smith. Undeniably elite. And then we got Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras, a hard placement in my opinion. Where do we put Wilson Contreras? He's been S tier in the elite tier most of his career. But overall, he was a great hitter this year. We can't deny that. But his defense, it was okay. But I feel like we put Salvador Perez in All-Star, so we have to put Wilson Contreras in elite as of now just because of his great hitting. Well, Salvi wasn't a great hitter this year, but he's had a great past. So we're not going to totally fault him. And then next up, we got Yasmani and Yadier. Yadier retired, so we're not going to rank Yadier. But Yasmani Grandal, this is a weird ranking. Just because of the season that he had last year. He was really bad. Very bad. But Yasmani's been a great catcher his whole career. That season was so bad. I'm going to put him in average for now, but if he has a great season this year, you can slide right on up here. He's the guy that just had a really bad season this year. So I'm going to put him in average for now. But I feel like the times could change. But that's overall pretty much it. That's going to do it for the video. See ya and goodbye.